What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Collective MMA channel. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, 138 MMA for episode 19 of Fight IQ. We're going to be breaking down UFC Shanghai. 138, how you doing, my friend?
Dude, I'm doing great. I love these cards that start early in the morning. So I think for me, it starts at like 4 a.m. or something ridiculous like that. So I'm down. This is great.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know some people will just catch the highlights, but I'm definitely going to either stay up all night or set an alarm and get up early to watch them. So we'll make it work. So without any further ado, we'll jump right on into it. In the first fight of the night, we have Meng Ding versus Cameron Nelson. What do you like in this one?
Man, okay. So this is an interesting one because like for Ding, he's the type of guy that's gonna just make a fight into just a scrap, right? But I think Cam Nelson is the better fighter here, and he's the underdog somehow. Like he's more well-rounded, definitely. He's definitely the better grappler. There's no question there. And when it comes to like on the feet, I mean, either guy could win on the feet in this one. Neither guy is like leaps and bounds ahead of the other. But I like the system that Nelson uses, and I think he's the real deal here. The only thing I could see being a big problem for him is, I mean, he is making the trip over to Shanghai, so like it's a long flight, and obviously he's making his UFC debut, so I don't imagine he's just got the funds to get out there like a month ahead of time. So when you're looking at these prelim fights, you get guys that like maybe don't have the ability to stay there weeks or months in advance, and that is an issue. So outside of that, though, I do like Cam Nelson here. So skill for skill, I would take him. So I'm going Cam Nelson on the first prelim.
All right. Yeah, this is an interesting one. Like Ding's had some higher level experience, although he's nothing special either. And Cam Nelson, he's pretty green in the MMA. Only started in about 2022 on the amateur scene. I'm gonna lean towards Ding in this one, but it's not a super high confidence one. Like, yeah, I kind of think the more it plays on the feet, the better it is for Ding. I do agree that if Nelson is able to get his takedowns going, I think he can win minutes from there. But yeah, I think Ding will be okay to keep this one on the feet and slam a bunch of leg kicks in there. He's pretty basic. He doesn't really throw a whole heck of a lot outside of the leg kicks and kind of pumps that jab. But yeah, I think the leg kicks can be effective for him here. And yeah, being on home turf, obviously that helps as well. So yeah, I think Ding gets it done, but yeah, not a super high confidence pick by any means.
I like that we're starting it off just opposite. This is good.
For sure, for sure. Okay, next up we have Jingnan Yang versus Julia Polastri. Yang is coming in at plus 194 and Polastri at minus 233. This is an interesting one. Like both of these are pretty good strikers. Zhang's got the fast combos, pretty good leg kicks, decent power. She's not the most durable, but she is, or sorry, not the most defensively sound, but she is durable. She has some questionable fight IQ, Yang does, and she has some odd antics, as we'll talk about with another fighter on this card. But she'll get hit sometimes and just start waving her opponent on, putting her hands in the air. Not the biggest fan of that. And Polastri is also like a pretty good striker. She mixes it up. She's got some good kicks and punches. She's also hittable though, but is durable. She also can be taken down. She is active off her back. This is, I think, going to be a close fight. And you know what? I like Polastri. I've backed her a couple times, but I'm kind of leaning towards a dog in this one. I'm kind of leaning towards Xiong. Like I said, being on the home turf, I think is going to be, important. And I just think she's going to have the better hands and may be able to land some of the more ooh and ah shots from the judges. So, at this price, on some sites you're getting Xiong at plus 205. I think that's the side. So I think Xiong gets it done by a close decision. What about you?
So yeah, this is an interesting one for me because I'm usually pretty far ahead in my notes and stuff like that, and like I make my predictions, get them up for like patrons and stuff like that really early, right? Often before the odds come out. And in this one, my assumption was that the odds would be pretty close, maybe like minus 110 each or somebody like minus 120, 130 at best. But I was leaning towards Jingnan, I think is how you say that. I could be totally off, but that's my guess. But So like when I saw her open at like plus 210 or something, when I saw it, I was like, that's insane. So I'm all over the underdog here. So that's back-to-back underdogs for me. I think Jingnan is going to have the better, cleaner striking. I think she's a very talented fighter. Polastri also. You mentioned that Jingnan does the antics or whatever. Polastri is also the type that's going to like try to egg somebody on and have her do the emotes or whatever, as the youth would say. She's also that type. So I think it's going to be a scrap on the feet. Polastri does seem to just zombie through shots. And I think that's going to cost her on the scorecards. But she is probably the type that could have the more she could have the moment where you're watching and you feel a momentum shift because she's just zombieing through whatever's coming her way and landing big bombs. So Polastri could do something like that. More likely than not, though, I think she gets picked apart for the most part and loses a decision probably pretty clean. So I'm going to take Jingnan to win it as a big underdog, or like a decent sized underdog, and I feel relatively confident about it.
Awesome. Next up, we have Lawrence Louis versus Hector Santiago. Louis minus 265 and Santiago plus 219. What do you think in this one?
Yeah, I got to go Louis. It's one of those fights, though, that like I don't feel like maybe he should quite be. Well, I guess now he's like 260, like you said, but he was like minus 300 up until recently. And like I don't know that he should maybe be quite that big of a favorite, just because he's not. I don't feel like he's been tested enough to make me feel good about it. But I do think he wins, and I can't talk myself into the other side. So I'm going to take Louis. I think he's just got the better overall game. He's tough enough that I don't worry too much that he just gets dropped with a single shot and put out. So I'm gonna go Louis, but yeah, it's probably one of those like watch and see and get a better read on both guys type of fights for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Louis in his last fight against Sulin Rangbo, that was a close fight. Probably could have gone either way if we're being honest. And he's not a very pretty fighter by any means, not very clean striking. He mainly just wants to, get into his takedowns, pressure you, make you uncomfortable, and then take the fight to the mat. Yeah, I think I'm going to lean towards Louis getting this one done. And, training at City Kickboxing, he has good training partners. Santiago also does as well, training with Kevin Vallejos and a few other guys. But yeah, as far as a pick, I just don't know enough about Santiago's like defensive wrestling and takedown defense at a UFC level. I do think the line is a bit wide though, and you know what? Like if Santiago can stuff the takedowns and keep this fight on the feet, I think he can absolutely punch Louis in the face and be live in this one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd probably stay away from this one. From moneyline standpoint, I think it'd be dog or pass. Or I also wouldn't mind the over 2.5 at about a pick'em. That could also be worth a look, especially if we're getting a lot of grappling. But yeah, it's pretty volatile. And with Santiago making his debut, it's kind of hard to get a good read on this one from my view.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Next up, we have Jack Jenkins versus Sean Woodson. Jack Jenkins plus 125, Sean Woodson minus 145. I think this is if not the hardest fight to call on this card personally. Like Jenkins, he's a pretty good striker, pretty kick heavy. He wants to rip the leg kicks, which I think, could be good for him here. Works the jab, mixes up his targets. Pretty good takedown defense. I think this fight's primarily going to play out on the feet. And Woodson, he's just going to have a huge reach advantage in this one. He's going to have, 10-inch reach advantage. Very good boxing, clean combos. He feints quite a bit. He's got decent grappling as well. So, yeah, I think we primarily see a striking fight here. This is a tough one. And like I said about the leg kicks with Jenkins, like I think if he can get those going, I think he can absolutely be a live dog in this fight. And if he can, kind of mangle Woodson's leg and slow that movement down, I think this becomes a much closer fight. But I'm going to side with Woodson just because he's fought the much better level of competition, has wins over guys like Dan Ige, etc. He's also beaten some, kick-heavy fighters as well. And that size advantage, I think, is going to be very tough for Jenkins to close the distance and have success, consistently. I think it plays on the feet for the most part. And Woodson, I'm going to lean towards gets it done by unanimous decision. What about you?
So maybe this is a bad sign. We're 4 fights in and I'm on 3 underdogs. I got Jack Jenkins here, man. I do realize he's probably going to have trouble with the range at first. He is kind of a slow starter in general, is Jenkins. The volume should be there from Woodson, as he has typically a higher output. But I think Jenkins is probably the more accurate fighter. According to the numbers, he's definitely the more accurate fighter. I think the leg kicks are going to add up, like you kind of mentioned. The dude is like, he has some sort of something going on with them leg kicks, because the dude's broke I don't know how many people's legs in his fights, and he doesn't have that many fights. I mean, he's got less than 20 fights, and he's broken what, like 5 or 6 people's legs? I don't know. That's pretty crazy to me. So I like that. I like that Jenkins is kind of one of those guys that can fight anywhere. And he's generally fairly safe when he fights. Outside of when he tried to post on his arm when he was falling in that the fight with Mariscal. That was a dumb idea. He should know that by now, not to do that. But then again, it happens to everybody. Clearly, Pantoja did the same thing, and that cost him the title. So there you go. But
true.
But in general, he's a safe guy, right? He doesn't take a lot of big risks, and I think that's going to help him here. I think he's got enough power to make Woodson respect it, and I do think that if he wants to, he could just get on top and lay and pray. We've seen him do it before. If he has to, I think that's a move he could do too, because Woodson is good, but he kind of wants to keep this as a boxing fight. He'll mix in his kicks, but he wants to keep this a boxing fight. I think at his boxing range is the range that Jenkins is slamming those leg kicks. And I just can't imagine 3 rounds of leg kicks from Jenkins on a guy that has like pencil legs, like Woodson, going well for him. So I'm going to take Jenkins to get this one done. Maybe a late TKO or decision. Haven't decided what I think yet, but the first round probably goes to Woodson at a decent clip. So I would line one of the reasons I think this is interesting is I would probably give Jenkins like a 52 to 53% chance of winning this fight, and he's the underdog. And even though that is very close, I got to take the underdog. So give me Jenkins.
Yeah, I don't mind that. And that was a good point you made about, I think Woodson probably wins round 1 at a pretty high clip. Mm-hmm. So that could be a great, a live betting opportunity on Jenkins. Yeah, I don't think I want to lay the chalk on Woodson here. I think it'd be dog or pass, but yeah, that'd be an angle to look at for sure. See how round 1 goes, and then jump in on Jenkins as a live bet. I think that could be definitely worth a look.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have Long Xiao versus Francesco Nuzzi. Long Xiao minus 175 and Nuzzi plus 153. What do you like in this one?
I don't know why they made this fight, really, other than they wanted to get Xiao Long on the card. Nuzzi's fine. Like, don't get me wrong, he's not. But I don't know. I don't know really what he did to like get him here. Like, I don't. Like I said, he's fine. He's not bad. I don't think he's a bad fighter by any means. But there's nothing that he did in his recent fights that makes me think like, oh man, this guy needs to be in the UFC. I mean, he had 3 fights in PFL. He went 1-1 in a no contest. Okay. Since then, he's had another no contest. And I guess he did have a win in Cage Warriors, but it's like his resume leading in doesn't make me think like, man, this guy needed to get to the UFC. So to me, it's a situation where they simply were like, we want to get Xiao Long on the card. Who can we get to take this fight? And they're like, this Nuzzi guy will do it. There you go. So it's got to be Xiao Long. I don't really see much on the Nuzzi side that makes me think I could get to him at the numbers. So Xiao Long.
Yeah, no, I agree with the Nuzzi being on the card, and I also agree with Xiao Long as the pick. Yeah, I mean, he's a UFC veteran who's fought a decent level of competition. Obviously, if you've watched his Cody Garbrandt fight, that was one of the weirdest fights I've ever seen. But he won the fight, but he lost on the scorecards because of his low blows and whatnot. But yeah, he's another guy that also does these antics where he gets hit and he puts his hands up in the air and starts doing all kinds of stuff, which I do not like at all. But doing it on the home soil here, every time he does that, they're gonna probably get a huge pop from the crowd more than likely, which again can sway the judges potentially. I think he's a pretty good kicker. He has a variety of them. I think he can land some kicks here, have some effect with that. I think he can pressure. And yeah, I think he gets this one done probably by decision or maybe a late stoppage. I think the over 2.5 could be worth a look in this one, or maybe the decision prop on Xiao. But yeah, I agree. I think, kind of like you said, this is kind of a setup fight. They're looking to get him a win after he fumbled against Cody Garbrandt last time, and I think he does enough to get this one done.
What's crazy is he probably should have won that Garbrandt fight even with the deductions. I don't really know how they still scored it for Garbrandt, so I don't know. Worked for me though. I had a bet on Garbrandt, so I lucked out.
Yes, I also had a bet on Garbrandt, but yeah, that fight overall was just straight up weird. No doubt about that. Next up, we got Ray Tsuruya versus Kevin Borjas. Tsuruya minus 750 and Borjas plus 534. I think this line's a little bit wide, but I think if Tsuruya finishes like I think he can, the line won't look that wide, I guess. Yeah, Tsuruya is like not much of a striker, but he's a slick grappler, has, a bag of takedowns he can use, slick back taker. Borjas is, going to be the better striker in this one. Had a big upset win in his last fight against André Lima, but this is a totally different matchup for him. And I don't really think he's fought somebody with the, level of skill in the wrestling and grappling that Tsuruya has. Yeah, I think Tsuruya gets him down, finds the back, and finds a rear naked choke. And I think he gets it done at a pretty high clip. So yeah, Tsuruya by sub would be the angle. He can get the sub at about plus 150 or so. What about you?
Yeah, the line is insanely wide for a fight this binary because if, like, for example, if Tsuruya somehow gets stuck on the feet, he's toast here. Like, Borjas is a pretty good striker. I know some people don't think he is, but the dude's competitive any fight where he's striking with these guys. So even at the highest, the world champion Josh Van, he had a good fight with him. They were going back and forth, beating each other up on the feet. Like, Borjas can strike, but if he gets taken down here, and he's got good takedown defense at first, he's got a good sprawl. Crossface goes really well with his sprawl. I don't see enough people use the crossface. Love that. It's great, but he doesn't really have a ton of grappling prowess, I guess. But he does have a good sprawl and crossface. I like that. But if he does get taken down, he's obviously probably going to get drowned by a guy like Tsuruya, who is clearly the better grappler. But on the feet, Tsuruya doesn't strike at all. It was up until maybe 1 or 2 fights ago, I even had anything on his striking for in my notebook because he just doesn't do it. His strikes are literally there only to set up the takedown, and it's not like he might throw a strike as he's shooting in or something. And even then, sometimes he doesn't even do that because he just doesn't. On the ground, he'll throw strikes, but on the feet, he tries not to. It's super binary, and this is a fight where I think I can't get to the underdog, but I probably can't get to the favorite either. The line's too wide on the favorite. I don't want to throw something on the underdog and then just be like, yeah, that was clearly a bad play. But it's somebody that I'm interested in for like DFS purposes and stuff. If you need a low cost player on a DFS thing, if somebody's into that, Borjas is potentially slate breaking. So I don't mind something like that. There is probably value on the underdog. I can't get there. I'm going to take Tsuruya. I am a Borjas fan though, so I'll take Tsuruya. But yeah, it should be fun. It should be a fun fight. Super binary though.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Yeah, like I was saying, if he doesn't get that finish, he ain't gonna look minus 750 at all. But yeah, if he does finish in round 1 or early round 2, yeah, I think he can cover that price. But yeah, I agree. I wouldn't be parlaying Tsuruya. If you want to play him by sub, play him by inside the distance, under 1.5, something like that. Yeah, I wouldn't be parlaying Tsuruya. I agree. There could be some value on Borjas.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have André Lima versus Namsrai Batbayar. Lima coming in at minus 255 and Batbayar at plus 211. What do you like in this one?
So I know everybody's kind of sold their stock on Lima after he lost to Borjas, who, if you just look at Borjas' record, he doesn't have a great record, but the dude puts up a good scrap with anyone. And then, he's only losing to really high level guys. So I don't think it's that bad of a loss. Lima still has darn good striking. He's still a competitive fighter. Batbayar has some things I really like and some things I really dislike. I think on the feet, even though he does have power and he's fairly good, he's very right hand dependent. He's throwing his right hand a lot, but he's not using that lead hand much. And when he is, it's very like half-hearted. Like, I don't know what your like level of like striking is, like what you've done personally, but like something that I see a lot when people are learning how to strike is if you tell them to throw a 1-2, they throw the 1-2 like they're throwing the 2, but they put the 1 there simply just like because you told them to, and it like if it lands, it's completely inconsequential. He's kind of like that from what I see when he's throwing his punches. Like if he throws the jab before his cross, the jab isn't intended to land. It's simply because he was in his mind, he's like, oh, I have to throw a 1-2 here. He's very right hand heavy. I think that's just a thing where like a guy with the experience in the kickboxing style of Lima on the feet, he's Batbayar's in trouble. Grappling, I could see it going either way because Lima's generally all right, mostly defensively. He's very sound, things like that. Batbayar is probably going to be the guy that's going to be initiating grappling most of the time. Unless it's like a cage push or something, I could see that being either guy. But I think the cleaner striker is Lima. I think he's probably the better striker in terms of knockout power, though. I think it could go either way. I'm going to side with Lima. I think he's also a dirty fighter, so I can see him just cheating when he needs to. So yeah, so I'll take Lima here, even though he's a decent sized favorite. I think he probably wins.
I'm with you. Yeah, I like Lima here. Like you said, everybody's ready to sell their stock on him and fade him that he lost to Borjas. I'm not sure what was going on with that night, whether he was sick or if there was some injuries he was dealing with, but he didn't really look like he had his A game that night. But yeah, typically he's a dude that, I've been impressed with, and he's a guy that I'd like to back. Yeah, I think kind of the question is whether Lima gets it done by decision or finish. I think that's kind of the question in this one. Yeah, like Batbayar is tough, and like you mentioned, there's some things to like with him, but also things to dislike. And yeah, Lima will be the better striker. I think he'll be able to keep it on the feet. Yeah, there could be some cage pushing going on and whatnot, but I think Lima's going to be able to land, enough good volume on the feet where even if, Batbayar even is getting some cage push time, it's not going to matter too much at the end of things. So yeah, I think, Lima could be a parlay piece. You could look at his decision prop at about plus 240. I think that could be worth a look.
Yeah, and I'm seeing 78% takedown defense for Lima. I think that should be enough to keep Batbayar off him on the takedowns.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next up we have Dana White's Contender Series alum from not too long ago, Bilal Hasan versus Nilson Rojas. This is an interesting one. Obviously, yeah, as I mentioned, we just saw Hasan fight just on Contender Series this season. He's a very, sharp striker. He got a nasty knockout. This guy's like super well-rounded. Like, I think this guy's going to make some serious noise in the UFC. However, I want to note that, Rojas here is no slouch. He's got some decent grappling as well. Again, Rojas just got signed to the UFC, but he is going to be a much harder challenge than Hasan fought on Contender Series, and I don't think it's relatively close in that aspect. Rojas has got some pretty good striking, some combos, mainly has like that boxing focused attack from what I've seen. Got some decent footwork, got a few dynamic attacks in his bag as well. So I think this fight is going to be fun for as long as it lasts, but I think at some point Hasan likely finds the KO. I could see, Rojas making it competitive and maybe it goes the distance, but Hasan is just really sharp, and I think, he's going to have the ability to also grapple here if he wants, but I don't even think he's going to force it. I think he's just going to let it come to him. I think he's going to end up landing some, heavy shots on the feet and probably finds a knockout in round 1 or 2. So that'd probably be how I'd look to play this one, is you either play Hasan round 1 KO or round 2 KO. I think that would be worth a look. What about you?
So we differ a lot in how we think it plays out, but we're on the same side. So here's the deal. Like, they're not doing Hasan any favors in this matchup, honestly, because this is a guy who's unknown to your general UFC fan base, like the guy he's fighting in Rojas. And because, they just signed this guy off the regional scene. Now he's undefeated, cool. But, people don't know who he is unless you've got your, finger on the pulse of the regional scene in South America. And, I don't imagine a ton of fans do. So they don't know that. They don't know he's any good. They probably think he's some tomato can they're bringing in to lose to this uber prospect they have. But he's better than a lot of the lowest level guys that were already in the UFC that they could have thrown in there. And I don't know that Hasan's going to knock this guy out. I know Hasan can hit really, really hard, and he could absolutely find the button. But man, this guy's durable, right? This guy's tough, and I don't know that he's able to get him out of there with the knockout. I think if he finishes him, I think it's probably a sub. I didn't look what we're getting on the overs and what it's lined at, 1.5, 2.5, whatever, but I might take a shot on like an over if I can get good money in, because the line is super wide, right? And this is another thing where like the underdog's kind of live, but Bilal Hassan's so good. Like I don't know that he can. I think he has more options, so I would take him to win. But I think if he wins, it's either sub or decision. I don't know that he knocks this guy out. I think on the feet, it's close enough that we could probably go to a decision there. So give me Bilal Hassan, and I think it's going to be by decision or submission, but decision probably.
Okay. Yeah, and the odds for this one, yeah, Hassan's minus 800, Rojas plus 550. The over 1.5, over 1.5 is minus 150. The under 1.5 is plus 130. So yeah, I wouldn't mind the over 1.5 either. Like I said, even though I'm going with knockout, like yeah, I think the first round could be a bit of a feeling out process. Could see it being somewhere in round 2. And yeah, I also wouldn't be shocked if this one went to a decision either. So yeah, the over 1.5 wouldn't be a terrible look either.
I mean, in his fight before the Contender Series, Bilal Hassan did go to decision. So it's not like he's just this, like, I finish everybody in the first round. He's got another finish in the third, another one in the third, one in the second, or no, a decision actually, and as a majority decision. So like, it's not like, I'm just like re-looking back through his record. So it's not like he's finishing everybody in the first round like it's just like a guaranteed thing. So yeah, over 1.5 at that number, I don't mind it for a flyweight fight for sure.
Absolutely. We will keep on moving. Next up, we have Levi Rodrigues Jr. versus Ce Liu. Rodrigues plus 174 and Liu minus 200. We're liking this one.
Yeah. So I've been, okay, call me crazy, but is that dude's name actually Lucy? I think it's Lucy, like Lucy, but I think that's how you pronounce it. Is that like, is his name Lucy? Because that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, because it's last name first over there, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it would be Lucy.
Yeah? I think it's Lucy. I'm gonna call him Lucy. Like, you know, I love it. Like, I wasn't sure because like when you're watching the tape, like it's a lot of times it's not, you know, in the language you're looking at that you're normally used to speaking. But once Levi got off the PEDs, they didn't look good at all. Horrible. He lost to a guy that shouldn't be in the UFC in his last fight, and he didn't look good. And yeah, I can't imagine he gets another win now that he's not on the roids, unless he's back on the roids. Maybe he's sneaking him in, but yeah, if he's still off the juice, like he looked horrible in his last fight, and I don't see him winning a fight in the UFC, regardless of who they put in there. Give me Lucy. I'm not confident in Lucy's grappling at all, but he's definitely a pretty good striker, and I think he could probably just run through this dude if he looks even half as bad as he did in his last fight.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's jump on the Lucy train here. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I don't necessarily trust his grappling, but Rodrigues isn't, you know, a good grappler either. So I don't think that really, you know, plays too much into this one. I think they primarily play out on the feet, you know, and Liu is, you know, he's big for the weight class. Like he's like 6'5" or so. I think he's got more tools in this one. He has some pretty heavy leg kicks. He's pretty fast too. Like, you know, he's got that kickboxing background. I think he's just going to have more weapons on the feet here. And yeah, as you mentioned, Rodrigues, after he popped, he hasn't looked the same. And I agree. Franco isn't a world beater by any means. And he got demolished in that one. And yeah, no, I think Louis gets this one done. Probably knockout in round 1 or 2. I think as far as a bet, you could just play the knockout prop on him at about minus 122. I think somebody's getting knocked out in this fight. Like I don't think it's going the distance. I mean, it could, but realistically, I think somebody's probably getting knocked out. So I don't mind the knockout prop on Lucy here. So we'll keep moving. Next up, we have Alex Perez versus Sumudaerji. Perez plus 186, Sumudaerji minus 220. And this fight is actually a rematch that just happened about 2 months, just over 2 months ago. There was a groin shot, and that ended up ruling the fight a no contest. So here we are back to run the rematch. And not much has changed from the first time they fought, really. I mean, outside of, getting a look of how these two stack up against each other. Obviously 2 months isn't a whole lot of time, so I don't think a whole heck of a lot's going to change. But yeah, like, I think the fight's going to be pretty similar. I think obviously both guys are going to have learned a little bit from, the short time that they did fight. You're going to have Sue, who's going to have a reach advantage, kind of like to be on that outside. He's got good footwork. He kind of darts in and out. He's got those long straights, leg kicks. I think he's going to look to pretty much do the same game plan. And Perez is going to, maybe look to change up his game plan a little bit. But at the end of the day, he's going to be the guy having to close the distance, having to throw those, big power shots and those big hooks that he likes to do. Maybe look to grapple, although he didn't really have a whole lot of success with it in the first matchup. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty similar matchup, as I mentioned. And I like Sue. Sue was starting to take over that fight. He had knocked down Perez with a big shot that, kind of swayed the momentum, and he was starting to roll in that one. And I think that we see something similar here. I think, like I said, Perez is going to know that he can't, stay at the end of Sue's punches, and he's going to look to try and, close the distance. But again, that's easier said than done. And yeah, Perez's style, I just think isn't the best for a guy like Sue. And Sue seems to be, putting it all together at the right time. Seems to be, looking sharper and sharper each fight. And I think we see a good performance here. I think the question is whether Sue knocks him out or goes the distance. I'm leaning decision, but I wouldn't be shocked by the knockout either. So I think maybe Sue is a parlay piece, or you look at the knockout prop or decision prop would be the way to go in this one. What about you?
So we've come to the same conclusion on who we think is going to win. I am on Sumudaerji, but your confidence is much higher than mine. I don't think he's a parlay piece at all. I think this is the biggest stay away fight on the card because you never know what Alex Perez you're going to get. Alex Perez on any given day could beat anybody in the division. Any fighter in the division, he could win. He could also lose to any fighter in the division. There's very few people like that. Charles Johnson is another one. Guys like that could beat anybody on any given night and then also just lose to anyone on any given night in the UFC. That's Alex Perez. The dude has all the skills in the world, but sometimes he just falls apart. I was on Alex Perez in the first matchup. I was going to be on him again, but I think the location is going to get me to go the Sumudaerji side. Kind of got to go with the home field advantage type of thing. I'll take Sumudaerji, but only just, right? And because Alex Perez can absolutely win this fight. Like 100% can win this fight. If he wins, I think it's submission. And I might even end up betting Alex Perez by submission if the number's right, because if Sumudaerji loses, it's generally by submission. What do you got, like 5 or 6 losses by submission? It's most of his losses. And Alex Perez can submit some guys. So, yeah, it's one of the maybe you play it like this. You just play the money line for Sumudaerji and then Alex Perez sub, and then you just hope he doesn't pull off a decision or knockout, which is it's a risk, but it's a thing. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you just stay away. Maybe you stay away. If the number's high enough on the Alex Perez sub, I'll take a shot. Otherwise, I'm just gonna probably crack a root beer and call it a night.
Fair enough. Next up, we have Kai Asakura versus Aoriqileng. Asakura coming in at minus 450 and Aoriqileng coming in at plus 350. What do you like in this one?
I like Kai Asakura quite a bit. I think he's coming into his own now. He needed to go up to the bantamweight division. I think him trying to get to flyweight was a trick for him. He's a big dude. He is a big dude for flyweight. Up at bantamweight, it's about the size he needs to be. Dude hits hard. Like, I know his competition has been a step down since moving up, which makes sense. He was coming off a couple of losses down at flyweight, but tough guys, right? I think this fight here favors him quite a bit. I think he can strike in this fight well, and I think if he has to, he can go to his grappling, and he's going to have a big grappling advantage. He's not primarily a grappler, but he can grapple fairly well. People are going to hear that and say, like, what? This guy sucks at grappling. He got out-grappled in his first 2 fights in the UFC against, 2 primary grapplers in Pantoja and Tim Elliott. So it's like, sure, but those guys are also very, very good at their chosen craft. So for me, Asakura is a better grappler here, and I think he's probably the more complete striker as well. So I think he's got him covered everywhere. Could you argue the line's wide? I guess, but I think he gets it done at a really high clip. I'm taking Asakura.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Asakura gets it done. I'm thinking by knockout, and I'm honestly thinking in round one as well. He's just going to be too fast and powerful here. Yeah, Aoriqileng is no slouch, but Asakura is going to have more weapons here. Very good with the knees. Yeah, very fast, and he's a special talent on the feet. Yeah, as far as a bet, Asakura round one knockout, I'm seeing at about plus 195. I think that'd be worth a sprinkle. I think that's a pretty decent price on that.
Definitely.
We'll keep on moving. Next up, we have Xiaonan Yan versus Denise Gomes. Yan coming in at minus 142 and Gomes at plus 122. What do you like in this one?
I like Yan Xiaonan a ton. Probably my second most confident pick on the card, actually. Let me double check that. Yeah. Second most confident prediction on the card is Yan Xiaonan. I think she has this one covered everywhere. Both are primarily strikers, but Xiaonan's like cleaner. She's got better striking defense. Neither one's going to look to grapple offensively most of the time. And sure, Denise could come in and she could land a power shot and get it done that way, but I think she's going to get absolutely torched on the feet. I don't think she can keep up with Xiaonan in just this pure striking skill. So she kind of needs that power shot, and I think Xiaonan knows that. Girl's also tough, dude. Unless the damage is all of a sudden adding up. Remember the Zhang Weili fight with Yan Xiaonan and how much damage this poor woman took, and she just kept on coming. Like, I mean, she didn't win by any means. She didn't have a ton of success either, but she took it, and she took it from one of the best to ever do it. So I don't imagine that Denise is going to be able to put her out super easily. And I think when it comes to just striking skill, Xiaonan's a step ahead everywhere, except for maybe raw power. And even then, it's probably close. So, yeah, Yan Xiaonan, my second most confident pick on the card.
All right. Yeah, I also like Xiaonan here. Unfortunately, I remember that Weili fight all too well because I had a ticket Max Holloway by knockout and Weili by sub, and I felt like I got absolutely robbed in that one. Yeah, Yan was like out at the end of the first round, and they didn't stop it, so that was tough. But yeah, no, I think Xiaonan is quite good. I think she's going to have the better footwork and be the more technical striker here. As you mentioned, yeah, Gomes will have the raw power edge, but I think Yan has a pretty good process, tends to fight pretty smart, trains with like a good team, everything like that. And yeah, I'm kind of surprised there's this much love on Gomes. As you mentioned, I don't think there's going to be too much grappling on either side. And unless Gomes lands like a huge shot, I think Yan looks pretty good here. So yeah, I think Yan on the money line would be a solid bet for this card. Moving on to the main event, be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. We have Umar Nurmagomedov versus Song Yadong. Umar Nurmagomedov coming in at minus 560 and Song Yadong at plus 421. I think this is going to be a interesting fight. I'm looking forward to watching this one. I think the line's a little bit wide here. Like, I'm going to pick Umar by decision. He should be able to keep Song on the outside using his kicks and his jab. Song's going to have to close the distance. And when he does so, I think Umar is going to try to shoot takedowns, but I don't think it's going to be so easy. Song actually has some underrated takedown defense and scrambling. Like, I think Umar may be able to get some takedowns, but it's not going to be easy. He's going to have to time them well or set them up, which, he can do for sure. But yeah, I just think Umar's kicking game and distance striking game is going to be a lot for Song here. And I think he's going to end up winning a decision, but I do think it's going to be close. And yeah, I think Song can have some success. I think Song might be able to win some rounds, but I think over the course of the 5-round fight, I think Umar finds a way to get this one done. What about you?
I don't think the line's wide enough. I think Umar's got this. He is my most confident pick on the card. I think that lead leg question mark kick is going to give Song fits all night. I think that's going to be trouble for him. I know that that Song has pretty good takedown defense. I think his average is like 74% or something like that. But Umar's got like darn good grappling, right? Like, he could take down anybody. I mean, in the division at least, like, I don't see anybody that can stop his takedowns. It just isn't going to happen. And once he gets a hold of you, it's really hard to get back up. So I do think once he gets that takedown and secures it, that could be around right there. You know, I mean, Merab was able to get back up, I guess, at times, but I mean, he was on one for a while there. Like Merab was the man for a while there, and that was also the champion at the time. And Umar had a broken hand, so there's that. As long as his hand's not broken here, I think that helps him a lot. But I think that lead leg question mark kick is going to give a ton of fits to Xiong. I think the way that he fights, he's going to run right into that. So I'm going to take Umar. I don't know if it'll be decision or a finish. Yadong's tough, man. Like that guy can take a punch. Like when Sandhagen got the KO, it was just because the dude was cut, right? It wasn't because he like knocked him out or anything. So like the dude can take a shot. So I lean decision, but I feel like it's going to be very comfortable. I feel like Umar is probably going to 50-45 is my prediction. So yeah, I'll take Umar pretty comfortably.
All right. That does it for the main event breakdown. So as y'all know, we'll move on to the next segment, the fighter to watch and the fight to watch. So 138, let me ask you, on UFC Fight Night Shanghai, who is your fighter to watch?
My fighter to watch is Zhang Jingnan. The reason why is because I think her initial debut, right? Tough matchup. Like getting to Angela Hill in your debut is insane. But that also speaks to how highly they think of her, because giving her someone like Angela Hill, who's like a gateway to the stars, right? I mean, like if you beat Angela Hill, you're in the talks for like a top 5 opponent after that sometimes, most of the time, honestly. So they think highly of her, right? And like she's had competitive fights outside of the UFC with good fighters. I mean, she has wins over darn good fights. She has a win over Meng, who's currently fighting on the card the day prior to this for the Road to UFC, who's a darn good fighter too. So like she's very skilled. She's my fighter to watch because I think this is the type of opponent that you can actually get a better gauge of her skills. And it's also not a debut. So yeah, that's my fighter to watch.
I like that. For me, I'm gonna go with Kai Asakura. You know, as we talked about moving up in weight, obviously, you know, came into the UFC, got a title shot immediately. They fed him to Pantoja, didn't go so well. Then kind of dropped the ball against Tim Elliott as well. But, you know, got a win in his last one. He's starting to build the momentum. You could kind of see after that post-fight interview, you could sort of almost visually see the monkey come off his back and him sort of like breathe a little bit. And I think that's going to be really good for him. I think he's going to come out with high confidence and look to get a highlight reel knockout to add to his collection. So my fighter to watch is going to be Kai Asakura. Now for your fight to watch. What is your fight to watch on this card?
Yeah, funny enough, like I don't know how this ended up happening, but maybe I'm just like the women's MMA shill. I think the fight to watch is the Yan Xiaonan versus Denise Gomes fight, because I think we're going to get a good striking fight. Two people that are going to go out there and just throw down. That's what they both want to do. And I think it's going to be super fun to watch. So I'm thinking that's going to be the fight to watch, as far as if you want a like exciting back and forth striking match, one person's going to be probably carrying the fight, but like if you want to see a couple of people go out there and throw down, I think that's the fight you're going to get. So I like that one as my fight to watch.
I like it. For me, I'll go with André Lima versus Namsrai Batbayar. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know, I'm a big fan of the flyweight division. These dudes are super fast, super skilled. And, you know, for the most part, they put on really competitive, or not always competitive, but really entertaining fights at least. Just with the speed. You know, Lima's a good striker, you know, coming off a loss in his last one. I think he's going to want to come out here and make a statement, whether that's getting a finish or winning a dominant decision. I think he's going to come out here and, you know, look a lot better than he did in his last one, and, you know, come back to being the Lima that we all know and love. So my fight to watch will be Lima versus Batbayar.
Something to quick add is I think that this card should just be fun all around, because we don't have a lot of bigger weight classes. We have a single light heavyweight fight and then a welterweight fight, and everything else is featherweight and below, which usually they're more fun, right? The big, like, heavyweights and light heavyweights usually are kind of lame. So like outside of the elite level guys, I mean, you know. So,
yeah, for sure. Some of those fights you can definitely get a lot of cage pushing and a lot of staring and whatnot, for sure.
Big guys get tired.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, that does it for this episode of Fight IQ. Thank you so much for joining me. 138. Yeah, where can people find you on socials? What do you have going on your channel? What's next up for you?
Yeah, you can find me at 130 MMA pretty much everywhere. On Instagram, there's an underscore between the numbers and letters. Otherwise, as it is. So the Contender Series is going wild. I just uploaded. I still got to type in the details for whatever, like the descriptions, what have you. But I've just uploaded for week 5 already. We only have 3 fights for week 5 so far. But week 4 is already up for channel members. Week 5 is up for channel members. Well, those 3 anyway. You can, like, if you have a channel membership on my channel for $2.99 a month, you're getting a ton of stuff early, especially this time of year. But I'll probably have the Perez card uploaded this week sometime soon. I still have to tape a couple of the debuts that are on the early part of the card, but you're getting a ton of stuff early right now. So that's the things to look forward over on my channel. There's a ton coming out, tons of content. And the live streams we've been doing, the fight companions on these Contender Series cards have been a blast. Like, the chat's been fun. My wife's watching them with me, and like she's doing the vibe picks, which is super fun because like she doesn't look into tape or anything like that. She's just like, yeah, I think this guy's gonna win just because he's walking out, or they're like, I think this guy, right? And somehow she has a better picking percentage than me right now, which is ridiculous. So yeah, there we are. But that was a little long, but 130 MMA is where you can find me.
Nice, for sure. Yeah, definitely be sure to check out those fight companions for sure. And yeah, for me, we'll be covering LFA going on Friday this week. We'll also have another episode of 5 MMA bets in just 10 minutes this week as well. So definitely hit that subscribe, hit a like, drop a comment. We definitely appreciate any support. And yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will catch you guys in the next one.